almost feel like the left just controls the broader culture. But this actually was not the case immediately following 9/11. The culture had a very right-wing mood to it. It was very much about like patriotism and hierarchy and military and go America, which was a natural response to being attacked, you know? And it was very much like, and essentially the American people, as you mentioned, the highest approval ratings since we've been recording, presidential approval ratings, the American people gave George W. Bush a blank check to fight this war on terrorism. They go, you have whatever war you want, whatever action you want, whatever policy you want. If you want to grope us at the airports, if you want to torture people,
enter the Patriot Act.
You want to open Guantanamo Bay, the Patriot Act, the Department of Homeland Security being created, whatever you want. And he spent this blank check on 2 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that led to the deaths of over 1 million people. And what we got for it in turn was our bravest young men blowing their brains out by the tens of thousands at the price tag of trillions of dollars, and the region completely destabilized anyway. Just nothing but, I mean, Lockheed Martin and Raytheon got a lot out of it. You know, there's a whole bunch, if you look in Washington, D.C., there's a whole bunch of millionaires out there in Washington, D.C. who did very well. So then after, and of course, now this is what we get out of George W. Bush's blank check. And then on top of that, his presidency ends with the worst financial crash in 100 years. So it was just like, it was like so obvious. So, and this is why Barack Obama is elected, because he was the most anti-George W. Bush thing that people could think of, right? And then Obama comes in and continues all of the Bush policies after running on, I'm going to repeal all of these policies. And then, look, there was a pivot. It was in 2012, okay? It was when Obama was running for re-election. And what did Obama come out and say for his re-election campaign? Did he come out and say, hey, look, remember I told you I would close Guantanamo Bay? And I did it. No, he couldn't say that. Did he say I ended the war in Iraq? No, he couldn't say that. Did he say we're not torturing people anymore? Did he say we're not dropping bombs? No, in fact, by this point in 2012, not only had Obama continued the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, he had also launched a stupid regime change war in Libya. He was starting to fund a civil war in Syria, and he had the drone bomb campaigns in Yemen and Pakistan. So what did he say? He's got this base of liberals who he hasn't done anything that he promised. So what did he say? I'm for gay marriage. I'm the first president who's ever been for gay marriage. And they put the White House up with the pride flag colors. And if you go look at it, look, this was a concerted effort from the top. You can go look, there are these nexus charts where you can map out words in major publications. I'm not talking about mom and pop news outlets. I'm talking about the New York Times, the Washington Post, like the big dogs. Go track how many times the word racism was mentioned. And around 2012, it shoots up. Social justice shoots up. Transgenderism shoots up. White privilege shoots up. This was forced on the American people. Why are we having these conversations now? No, the people did not wake up one day and decide, we want to have a national conversation about chicks with dicks. That didn't happen. This wasn't an organic movement. It was all of the most powerful people decided this is what we're going to talk about. And why was that? Because it's the perfect, look, when you're failing on policy, you pivot to a culture war. You pit people against each other, so they're fighting each other. We had in this country, we had an Occupy Wall Street movement where leftists were standing outside of big banks screaming, we are the 99%. Right-wingers had a populist movement called the Tea Party, where they were outraged about the bailouts of big banks, unsustainable debt, government spending. They don't like that. That's not what the powers that be like. You're getting too close. Look, they like you fighting about issues like abortion. Now, I'm not saying abortion isn't a very important issue. It's a very important issue. But us fighting about that issue doesn't scare anyone at the Federal Reserve. It doesn't scare anyone in the CIA. They don't care if you fight about that issue. They love you fighting over transgender bathrooms. They have and you can see this every day. They're stoking this culture war because they have to distract from the fact that they completely failed on everything else. That everything in the 20th century so far for America, politically speaking, has been a disaster.
It's what like distracting people with a submarine. They distract you with the submarine, but the other issues are going
like
on
that. They love stories like that. CNN loves an airplane crashing. They love something where it'll get clicks and no powerful people will be upset about it. If they actually loved real stories that just got clicks, there's a lot of stories that get clicked. They've been passing them up for years. It's part of the reason why shows like this, shows like Joe Rogan, are taken off, because they can run stories. Hey, do you think that like people getting vaccine injured is not a story that would generate a lot of views? for CNN. The vaccine that the government just mandated has hurt all of these people. That's a huge story. Why won't they run it? Because all their commercials are freaking pharmaceutical companies.
Yep.
They don't want to piss off powerful interests, so they're not in the game of that. So they have to create something for you to be afraid of, white supremacist terrorism is everywhere,
Like we talked about with the tyrants, Big Pharma.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We talk about this on podcasts all the time, right, Pat? There's 2 countries in the world
That rant was, listen, I'm still on that rant.
That was amazing.
Man. It makes some noise for Dave, man. That was unbelievable on what you just said there.
Thank you.
You know, I want to...